I'm Greg Johnston, CEO of Carl Data Solutions, an industrial Internet of Things company that provides big data solutions for monitoring critical infrastructure. Carl Data offers machine learning and predictive analytics features through our cloud-based applications to deliver key asset-saving operational insights from massive amounts of data. Carl Data trades on the CSE, symbol CRL, and the Pink, symbol CDTAF. For more details on Carl Data, please visit carlsolutions.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Chris Vermeulen from the TechnicalTraders.com. Welcome back to the show, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jim.
Chris, good news for the Toronto Stock Exchange?
Yeah, well, the Toronto Stock Exchange is obviously it's fairly resource heavy with stocks, and it's been performing exceptionally well. The late November, or I guess more or less, November and December highs that we saw in all the broad stock markets, U.S. and Canadian. We had a couple bounces in November, December before the big December crash, and the Toronto Stock Exchange has just been on a tear. It's been rallying day after day, continues to extend, and it's broken those levels, which is really significant because now we're potentially starting a new major uptrend for the Toronto Stock Exchange with a higher high here. And we've seen this happen before. We've seen the Toronto Stock Exchange outperform the U.S. equities indexes, both of the last bull market tops. This is what happened just months before the equities rolled over and we started a big bear market. So this is going to be really interesting. You and I have talked about this for really a few months, that this is what I've been expecting to see, is the resources start to pick up speed. And we've seen gold pick up, oil's picking up. So I think we're still in the early stages, but the Toronto Stock Exchange is a good indicator that I think we're very mature in the U.S. equities bull market.
Why would Toronto be out of step with New York?
Well, it's just carrying a lot of stocks that are based on oil and metals, resources in general, and it's just the way the markets seem to move. Money seems to rotate into physical assets, commodities, during the late stages of a stock market. Big investor money starts to get worried about paying lofty prices, and we start to see money move into different places, including bonds and some defensive sectors like utilities. So all those defensive sectors and the commodities are starting to create bottoms or moving higher. And that's a sign that the overall money flow behind the scenes is really starting to move into these defensive plays, anticipating U.S. stocks more or less to roll over in the future here.
Was the polar vortex good news for natural gas?
I'm not exactly sure, but obviously we've had that huge pop in natural gas, and of course that's fizzled right back out. And natural gas is setting up for, I think, an incredible trade, potentially short-term and long-term. It is tough to trade natural gas long-term simply because of the investments and the way they move when you own it. But looking at natural gas, the weekly chart, going back all the way to 2016, there's been several times natural gas has hit this 255 level on the continuous contract. Every time it's hit this, we've seen usually it's a multi-month rally out of here. Very strong gains, and it's happened about 7-8 times, and we're falling back down into that. The faster you fall into a support level, usually the stronger knee-jerk reaction bounce you get. I'm a technical trader, and that's what I'm looking for, these swift technical trades, and that's what I'm looking for, is another drop in natural gas down to around the 250, 255, and I think it's a good opportunity for a bounce back up to 3. So it's kind of one of the nicest looking setups that's slowly unfolding here. It's based on the weekly chart, so it's not something that happens instantly. It's going to be a multi-week play, but a really nice opportunity, I think, unfolding in natural gas.
We'll have more with Chris Vermeulen right after this.
Arctic Star Exploration, operated by a team of proven mine finders, is focused on diamonds in Finland and the Northwest Territories of Canada. Work programs are underway in Finland and Canada. Arctic Star trades on the TSX Venture Exchange symbol ADD, on Frankfurt symbol 82A1, and the OTCQB symbol ASDZF. Please visit our website arcticstar.ca or call us at 604-689-1799.
Cypress Development Corp's flagship lithium project is located just east of Albemarle's Silver Peak mine in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. A 12-hole exploration drill program for lithium-enriched claystone on Cypress's 100% controlled properties is now underway. Cypress Development Corp trades on the TSX Venture Exchange symbol CYP, the Pink's CYDVF, and on Frankfurt's C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Chris Vermeulen. Chris, what's happening with gold and other precious metals?
Well, yeah, gold has been, gold's had a nice rally. Gold, silver, and miners, they've all been moving up. You know, during December, the big sell-off in equities, money was moving into these physical assets, commodities, and it's had a nice run to the upside. I think it's getting a little long in the teeth. I think it's had a nice run. It may continue to grind its way higher with some volatility, meaning we see some great big up days, maybe up to 1350, and some big pullbacks back down. I think we're going to get into some pretty big sideways gyration, much like we saw more or less July of 2016, early 2018, where the market was up at this, gold was up at this level, and it was just chopping around. It's a major resistance area. So I think gold at best is going to trade slightly higher, but with increased volatility over the next month or two. It could very easily pull back from this level, but long term, I still think it is going to be a real leader moving forward and outperform the rest of the markets when we look forward about 6 months from now. I think it'll be doing very well.
Is 1350 the make or break point?
Yeah, 1350, 1375 seems to be a pretty significant kind of make or break point on my chart. You know, it's really got to hold up there for close a month above there on a monthly chart. That's a fairly good sign. Obviously, it needs to hold that month. It can't just give it back. We did see that happen back in 2014. It had 1 month close above that level, and then it reversed and crashed after that. So, I mean, if it can hold that level and not just poke up there and get sold into, then I think it's off to the races. And I think we could very easily see 1600 an ounce very quickly after that point.
Has silver been disappointing so far?
It really depends on how you look at it. Obviously, silver to me seems to always kind of be a little bit of a laggard, and I find it's actually got really great opportunities that after gold or gold miners have moved, I find silver seems to have an opportunity after those. It moves a little bit different. It's got some explosive potential power. It doesn't look, it hasn't really performed as well based on just charts of trying to make higher highs. It is still kind of underperforming. But, I mean, to me, it's not as much of a safe haven as what maybe many investors or traders think. It's very much so more of a speculative kind of play. Gold and gold miners are the key, which is why I think not a lot of people are yet trading into silver, but there will be a time when metals start to rise. A lot of people shift from gold to silver just because it's way cheaper to buy, and it moves more on a percentage basis. So I think on the back end, after precious metals start, is when silver will really kind of start to shine, and it can start outperforming a little bit later in the game.
Is copper making positive moves?
Yeah, copper, it's pushing up. It's on the verge of a really big breakout, actually, going all the way back to about July of last year. If we can get above this 285 level on copper, it's built in a beautiful, you could argue, a rounding bottom or a big double bottom formation that really is going to poke all the way up to around the 320 mark. And right now it's at 282. So it's got a really good potential upside move here. It's been holding well. I mean, I think if the economy starts to slide, then I think copper could definitely get hit. But overall, the metals in general have been doing very well. In fact, there's a nice ETF, the symbol is GLTR, that actually has a basket of metals in it. And if you're to look at that one, it's actually performed really well and has got a really nice pattern on it for a big bottom. And it holds gold, silver, platinum, palladium. It gives you a nice kind of equal basket of those. And then you don't really need to try and cherry pick anything specifically. It doesn't have copper in it, I don't think. But overall, I do think commodities, metals are going to continue to rise. They're all on the verge. They're all stuck under resistance. But once they break and pop, could be this month, could be 6 months from now, there's going to be some pretty big gains.
China's the world's biggest consumer of copper. If the demand for copper is going up, does that mean the Chinese economy might not be as in bad shape as people have put it?
Yeah, it could be for sure. I mean, the overall economy, housing, all that stuff is going to play a big role in kind of where copper is going. I feel as though if copper breaks out and rallies here, I think it'll be a quick, swift move to the upside. But I'm feeling as though the economies in general are more or less weakening. And I think a year from now will be a totally different story. Everything is nice and lofty prices right now for stocks, and commodities have had a nice run. Everybody's positive, but I think things are going to change. I think we're going to see things that could become worse. So I do think that everything will be trading lower a year from now, and it could be substantially lower.
We'll have more with Chris Vermeulen right after this.
I'm Douglas Mason, CEO of Naturally Splendid, symbol NSP on the TSX Venture Exchange. Naturally Splendid is a biotechnology and consumer products company focused on the global cannabis and health markets. Naturally Splendid is expanding distribution in this rapidly growing market with products currently in Canada, the USA, South Korea, Germany, and Australia. To view our comprehensive company presentation and for more information, please visit our website at naturallysplendid.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Chris Vermeulen. Chris, what's happening in the oil market?
Well, crude oil is, all the commodities, or not all the commodities, but a majority of the commodities have had a nice run in the last month and a half. So has crude oil. And it has rallied up to a key resistance area that we've seen way back on a chart, all the way from 2015 across to where we are now is the 50 area. So this is a level that goes way back in time. When these levels have been hit, when price has been below it, it's been rejected and sold down. When it's been above it, it finds support and bounces. And right now, we hit that level last week. It pushed up a little bit more this week, and it's been reversing and selling down on some pretty heavy volume so far this week. So it looks like it's getting rejected again. I think we could see a couple weeks sideways to lower in energies in general. And precious metals, and I do feel as though they're going to take a run and everything's going to try and break out of these resistance zones. So I do think there's going to be a big movement in commodities in general, and I think crude oil has got that potential upside. But I think it has a couple of weeks of basing here before it launches up into the $60-62 per barrel mark.
What's going on with the U.S. dollar?
Well, U.S. dollar has really, really strong pop today. It's definitely putting some downward pressure on the precious metals. We're seeing gold and miners down. Miners are almost down 2% at this point. The dollar is ripping to the upside. And when you look at the dollar still has quite a bit more room to go. So far, it's trading at 96 on the charts. I do feel as though it has potential to run up to the 99-100. When you look at the longer-term chart of it, it's still in a strong bull market. It has had a nice pullback the last couple of months, but it's still making higher lows and higher highs. And this pullback at this point is still being bought into. And I think we could have one more push higher that could last a month or so, which is one of the reasons why I feel as though commodities and precious metals are going to trade sideways to lower because I think this dollar is going to advance and top out at this 99-100 mark, which is a significant mental number. It's just the 100 mark is a significant mental resistance area for investors. It's also a previous resistance many times on the charts going back in time. So if the dollar moves up, commodities will be under some pressure. But when the dollar reverses down from there, I think that could be when the big breakouts start to happen in commodities.
What does that do to the Canadian dollar?
A lot of the Canadian dollar it's going to kind of hinge on what crude oil does too. Obviously, if the U.S. dollar starts to fall, it'll add some value to the Canadian dollar. We'll see probably oil start to run and break out. As the oil goes up, Canadian dollar should go up as well. So it's going to be, I think, bullish for the Canadian dollar going forward.
Chris, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Hey, always a pleasure, Jim. Thanks for having me on the show.
My guest has been Chris Vermeulen from thetechnicaltraders.com. If you have any questions for Chris or any of the rest of our guests, you can send them to info@howstreet.com. Our popular YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.